Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, Steve Arterburn here. Welcome to Life Recovery Today. You are watching our 101st, it's the program that I never dreamed we'd have, 101 programs. We celebrated the 100th program last time. Now we're also celebrating something else, and that is the 30th anniversary of the Life Recovery Bible. And you know, this Bible, it really helps you on this process of recovery that is so personal, but it's also so very spiritual. And you know, life recovery is a biblical approach to the 12 steps. And what we're doing is that we're bringing spiritual principles into the focus, and we're hoping to make them alive for you. And that produces a transformational life for all of us. Now, we're not trying to put the Bible into recovery. We're trying to bring recovery back to the Bible where it began. AA, you know, it really began out of the Oxford groups. Those were meeting in the early 1900s, and they were really about change. And they were kind of, you could even say, like the first recovery groups. And they were changing people's lives. It was like a big step from hearing a sermon to sitting down and dealing with whatever it was you're dealing with. Well, Bill Wilson attended a meeting after he got out of the hospital, and when he went into the hospital, that's where his last drink occurred. And so he was really involved in those Oxford groups. Well, he traveled to Akron, Ohio in 1935, and he met Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob was struggling with alcoholism, and so he began attending meetings, the Oxford groups there, with Bill Wilson. And their partnership eventually led to the beginning of AA. They say nobody invented Alcoholics Anonymous. It just grew by the grace of God. In the very last speech that Dr. Bob ever gave, he also said, we didn't invent the 12 steps. He said, we got them out of the good book, especially the book of James, the Sermon on the Mount, and the Beatitudes, and 1 Corinthians 13. Well, the Oxford groups had 4 absolutes. And in this segment, I want to share with you about those 4 absolutes. They were principles that were accepted by the Oxford groups, and then if you think about it, or they said if you would think about it, you could maybe capsulize all of the teachings of Christ in these 4 absolutes. And it doesn't matter whatever you're struggling with. I mean, everybody can benefit from these absolutes. So I did a video on them, and I hope it's going to be helpful. And as you hear these, I would just ask you to ask yourself, do I abide by these 4 absolutes in my life? Are they real, or am I falling short in any area? And if I am, how about I talk to somebody and admit it? I open up and share, and then I begin doing something about that particular absolute. Because you know what? We can all get better. And sometimes when we don't get better, it's just more shame upon ourselves. And that's what we're going to look at in the second segment. But for now, here are the 4 absolutes out of the Oxford groups. I hope that you can apply these to your life. I want to talk to you about the 4 absolutes. These four absolutes, well, they came out of the teachings from the Oxford groups, and those groups, that's where Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob got their start, and some of the principles, many of the principles from AA began there, very consistent. But in the Oxford groups, they had these four absolutes, and there was a belief that if you took all of the teachings of Christ, you could boil them down and they would fall into these four truths. They were absolutely true. And so here they are. First would be absolute honesty. And second, absolute purity, absolute unselfishness, and absolute love. So let's start by talking about absolute honesty. Honesty is really difficult. It's one thing to always tell the truth, but not all the truth. And it's another thing to tell all the truth and tell everything and it all be known. When they ask a politician, they said, so we'd like for you to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. He gave 3 different answers. Now that's a horrible joke, I know, but we can hedge so easily on truth and being honest. It isn't easy to be honest, but when we are honest, we can maintain an intimacy that simply will never ever be there if we don't have that honesty. Look at this scripture, John 8:44 is really clear. It says that Satan is the father of lies. And one of the things that dishonesty does is it destroys intimacy with God and intimacy with other people. If you want to be intimate, there has to be a mutuality with other people. And the minute that you are dishonest, you now have some power, or you think you do, or a sense of control of some information that the other doesn't have. And it completely wipes out what you would call mutuality. So I think it's important for people to maybe write down on a piece of paper honestly how you view yourself, how you score on being the authentic and real and revealing person in an honest way. Second thing is purity. Now, purity is like pregnancy. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You either are or you aren't, and you can't be a little bit pure. You either are or you aren't. Jesus said, it's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You're defiled by what comes from your heart. And another way to look at this is, purity comes from everything within the heart, but also our mind, our thought life. We need to be regularly weeding out the impure thoughts and finding ways to keep ourselves pure in heart and mind and soul and spirit. But purity just doesn't have any place for pornography, for lust, for greed, any of the sins of the heart. They're not there. You know people that have a pure spirit. You know people that have a godly spirit. And you know people that when you think of them, their motives are pure. Their actions are pure. They're not perfect, but they have this purity that is so valued. And especially when it comes to our sexual life, the private sexual life in our mind and heart, purity is so valuable for us to maintain. The third of the absolutes is unselfishness. And of course, in this world, we're all about self and how much money we can make and how much we can get for ourselves. And there is so much entitlement that's being taught to our kids and being absorbed by our kids that it's no wonder that they expect everything to be for them and about them. Just this morning, I was telling Amelia, who came down the stairs just looking great, and I said, Amelia, you must accept that not everybody is going to be as fascinated with you as we are. We just like to see you come down the stairs. And we joke about it, but we're joking about it because we like to talk about it. That this is not the real world where parents just, love everything that you do. And, we just even like to hear you breathe. And you're probably going to marry somebody at some point. Even your breathing's going to irritate them at some point or another. So we're trying to be realistic. But we want to get out of ourselves and into other people. And that's the life that is the rewarding life, when we just cannot help but reach out and help other folks and be all about their best interest. And then the fourth absolute is absolute love. And love is, well, you can't do it perfectly, because only God can love perfectly. But love really is an action, and it comes from a heart of love for others. And I think if we broke down what is love made of, well, first of all, it's made of acceptance. You're accepting someone as they are if you love them. And love is about encouragement. So you're accepting them and you're encouraging them to become the best of everything that they are. And there's a connection, some kind of, you could call it magical magnetism maybe, that brings you to that person with love. Now, we say we love all people. We love people that hurt us and all that kind of stuff. But this love of the people that we know, and this love for people that are imperfect or maybe have caused us some pain, this love can only come from the supernatural power of the Holy Spirit. If you look at 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7, the love chapter, just let me read it again. You've heard it so many times, but it says, love is patient and kind, not jealous. It's not boastful or proud or rude. It doesn't demand its own way. Now, a narcissist is a person that isn't patient or kind. A narcissist is jealous and boastful and very proud and very rude. Why? Because they're so hurt inside. This narcissism is protecting them. They don't love themselves. It looks like it, but it's all a front. It's a survival strategy that isn't very good. It says, love doesn't demand its own way. It's not irritable. It doesn't keep a record of wrongdoings. It doesn't rejoice about injustice, but rejoices when truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith. It's always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. That's what love is. I think the greatest thing about love is that it is enduring. One of the things that I have tried to convince my kids is there's no reason to rebel and see how far our love will stretch. Because I'm just going to tell you, you can never, ever, ever leave our love. We're going to love you no matter what. We'll love you in prison. We'll love you wherever you are. We're going to love you. And I really believe that that is true. We're going to endure with them no matter what. And out of our love, we're trying to help them to leverage today toward tomorrow. Learn stuff today so you get the tomorrow you want. Save money today, you don't spend it all, you get a future with some financial stability. Don't express every emotion, don't do everything that feels good, and you end up with an emotional stability in the future. Today is an investment, or not, in the future. And that's what love is all about. We pour love into another person so that their future can be the very best that it can be. Because if you don't feel loved, you're not going to have much of an enjoyment in whatever future you have.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Welcome back. Well, as you heard, the 4 absolutes can become your way of life. I mean, they can change the way you're living in a relationship, the way you work, change your leisure time, literally your whole life. And as you practice these, you'll see the impact on your recovery journey. Now, in this next segment, I'm going to talk about shame. And the challenge in recovery is to learn to go without the drug of choice. And if you relapse, that occurs often, then you're going to feel bad and feel shame. But I want to provide some insight on how to deal with the shame whenever the compulsive addiction just doesn't magically go away. I don't want you living in shame, neither does God. Here's my segment on shame. And we're going deeper into shame. Not that we want you to have more shame, we want you to have less of it. A lot of times, people don't deal with the shame because it's so painful to go back and deal with the source of it. Well, I want to talk to you about some shame that has nothing to do with the past. I mean, it could a little bit, but it has to do with today. Now, we all know that we can be so obsessed with something that it ends up causing us to have a compulsive behavior as a result. For instance, if I am obsessed, just can't get it. If I'm obsessed with inferiority, it could be because of shame, and I'm just thinking I'm the worst person ever, then you know what I might do? Of course, I don't really realize that's what's fueling it. I might become a workaholic to prove that I'm not bad. I might think if I could earn a bunch of money, if I could succeed, it would overcome that. So I become a compulsive workaholic. It happens all the time. But here's something else that happens. We go along in life and we discover there's this thing called mood alteration. Some people, they take a drink and, they relax a little bit, enjoy it, it's great flavor, they adapt to it, have some buddies over, a couple of beers, no big deal. Other people, they drink so much alcohol, they have such a high tolerance, they get addicted to it. Now, if I shoot heroin in my veins, I will be addicted to heroin if I do that a couple of times. If I have a couple of drinks, I'm not going to be addicted to alcohol. Now, this is something a lot of people, if you're in a faith or a denomination that thinks nobody should ever drink, well, there is drinking in the Bible. In fact, Paul told Timothy, why don't you take a couple of drinks there, buddy, for that stomach of yours. Now, that he wasn't talking about grape juice. He was talking about wine that had alcohol that would actually kind of settle Timothy's stomach. So I don't drink myself, but I don't think it's evil for people to drink. But some people have, you could call it a gift, but it's really a curse. And your tolerance is so high that you can drink so much that you could get addicted to it. The other day on the radio program, I asked a guy, I always like to ask people, so when you were drinking, how much could you drink? He said 6. I said, well, 6 beers? That's not much. No, 6 six-packs in a day. 36 beers in one day. Now look, I'm telling you something. Most people, you would get so sick, or you would be so drunk, or you'd fall asleep. Not this guy. He's functioning well, but he has an addiction problem. And once we get the addiction, whether it's from a drug and doesn't take much, or from alcohol, takes a lot, we end up in a cycle. And here's what happens. We start using this mood-altering chemical because maybe we just want to numb things out. Life's been so difficult. And then we get hooked on it. And you get hooked, and then you start to look at yourself and go, look at this. Look at my life. Look at what I've done. And now the shame starts to set in. And so you really think you're an outcast. You reject yourself. You don't like yourself, and other people don't like being around you when you're using either. So guess what? You kind of separate yourself from other people. You get disconnected or distant. And in your isolation, you don't learn the nuances of talking, sharing, being in a healthy relationship. So what does that do? It causes you to feel like an outcast, like you're not part of what everybody else is a part of. And so you kind of behave in strange ways. People go, what's the matter with him? He's kind of weird. And then you do inappropriate things. You don't have good boundaries. You don't care about other people. You kind of have a self-obsessed, always the center of attention, always blundering, always the problem. So what do? Well, all of that results in shame. What do you do with shame? Go back to your drug or your alcohol and try to numb it down. And it just gets worse and worse until you reach that point where you finally, what we call, hit bottom, where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than what you would imagine the pain would be of getting better, of giving up whatever it is that you're dependent on or addicted to, and then living life free from it. Now, I've worked in alcohol and drug treatment since 1977, and I've seen some guys that, they could not go an hour without putting alcohol in their system. They were so fragile. I understand how difficult it is to give something up. One of the greatest Christians in this world, Johnny Erickson, taught chronic pain. The drug fentanyl came out, and the pharmaceutical company that was selling it told all the physicians, this is not addictive, but it really helps. Johnny told me that she got addicted to fentanyl. Her doctor gave it to her. She just innocently took it. And then she got addicted to it. Said it took her a year to get off of it. What a horrible thing. So you don't have to be a bad person to get addicted. But when you do get addicted, you feel such shame, such pain. You have to reach this point where you say, I've got to stop. And here's the good news. When I recover, I don't bring the shame along with me. I'm truly trusting God with my future, with my addiction, with my relationships. And if I work those 12 steps, eventually I'm going to make it right with every person that I've harmed. And I'm going to stay current. And when I mess up, I'm going to admit it. And I'm going to continue to stay right with every person. That's the gift of recovery. It's the opposite of living in shame. So I would just say to you, if you're watching this and you have somehow, whether innocently or on purpose or whatever, you've gotten yourself addicted to something, or it's habitual, or it's a compulsive behavior, it could be fueled by the shame. If you'll call us, we'll help you. We'll tell you what you can do. We can find a meeting for you. Or if it's sexual addiction, you can go to Every Man's Battle. But we've been dealing with this for 32 years. We've been around as New Life, and we've been taking a lot of 800 number phone calls. You could be the next 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I realize when you go to make a phone call for help, the phone, little bitty tiny cell phone, weighs about 400 pounds. You pick it up and you call us, and you will not regret it.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back. Well, the way I view shame today, which when I did that video, it wasn't even a reality. It's the COVID of the soul. It eats away at all the good stuff, destroys all the good stuff. You don't know where you're going to land or end up, and we've got to get rid of that shame virus. Now, if shame is an issue for you, every recovery program that I've ever been a part of that program, maybe even a central element, was removing shame from my life. The final removal of that shame came when I heard Chuck Swindoll say, "Your past just ended 1 second ago, so why would you live in it?" Wow, why would you? If you need some more help with shame that is just so difficult to get rid of, Healing is a Choice is a great shame remover. A lot of people have made 10 choices, and it really does help all they do in recovery. Another great resource is this devotional, 100 Days of Healing. You can't fully heal and transform if you're focused on all of the shame. Here's probably the most valuable resource that we've ever developed along with the Life Recovery Bible, and it's the Life Recovery Journey. 4 Bible studies on every step. And this is a transformational book that takes all of the steps. Everything we say about the steps is right out of Scripture, and it can change the way you view yourself and certainly other people and the future. Then that Life Recovery workbook can also be a shame remover, and maybe the other workbook that might do the most in relieving shame is the grief workbook. Maybe you're still feeling shame because you haven't fully grieved the loss or the loss of who you thought you were, and you're left with all of that residual shame. Don't forget the 12 gifts and the 12 laws of life recovery. I think they're as important as those 4 absolutes. Now, all of these products are available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And be sure, if you've got a Life Recovery Bible, that it's the 2nd edition of Life Recovery, because we made some great changes. Some of the work from my wife is put in this 2nd edition, and it's more helpful than ever. No matter what edition you have, the pages are the same. If you say turn to page 80, it's the same material, whatever edition that you have. God bless you. Thanks for joining me for 101, and I hope and pray that this is going to be the beginning of a shame-free life.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.